Welcome back to Norrath. So we're starting off today's episode here in the plains of Karana, because I've been doing a lot of development out here for farms and everything that I want to show you. We've got a lot to take a look at here, as well as some expansions of the city of qeynos, which we will get to in the latter part of the episode. And the first thing we will take a look at here is going to be the newly installed bridge over the river here in Karana. Now this river has heretofore not had a name, actually. And I think I'm going to formally name this the Rubicon River. Just so that when I land here and walk across the bridge, I can indeed say that with great satisfaction I am crossing the Rubicon. And that can be quite literally true, so that's just too much fun not to do. So I think that we will formally name this particular river the Rubicon. I need to go around and name some of the other rivers too. They don't really have names in EverQuest, so I feel a bit entitled to name those myself, I think, since this is my particular world here. So if it's not named, then we are going to have to come up with a name for it. But this particular bridge here, as you can see, this is what I have used for the Roman bridge tutorial that I created. Of course, I made the Roman bridges because I needed bridges to get across the Rubicon here in the plains of Karana. And on the other side of that, we have some guardian Roman soldier statues over here. And of course, this faces off on a large straight Roman road, which goes all the way over to qeynos, a few hundred blocks over in that direction, currently out of render distance. But if we will look around here, you will notice that the fields have become settled with houses, and they have been divided up with hedgerows and pathways. And of course, in good Roman style, unlike the more medieval and organic themes that we have over there in the Common Lands, across the Serpent Spine Mountains over there, we have these a bit more rectilinear and more regular in their layout. Of course, these fields have as yet not been planted. I don't think I'm going to get around to doing that before the next world download, which, speaking of that, by the way, as of when this is going up, this should be going up on Friday. So 1 week from today, you will be able to download version 1.3 of Norrath, and that big world tour video is going to be coming out next Friday. That is my current plan on it. If we lower down here a bit, you can see a smaller Roman bridge of 3 arches stretching across this part of the river. Right here, of course, by this guard tower. And of course, we have a split paw over there in the distance. That's why this particular area of the plains of Karana is not settled with houses or divided up into fields, because it is infested with bloodthirsty gnolls. So we can't really have peaceful farming across the river there. Of course, the gnolls themselves are very angry about what has been done in the plains of Karana over here. They claim that all this sprawl and development has quote-unquote ruined these lands. So over here by the wizard portal, we have a couple of houses that I have plunked down here. You'll of course remember the royal lion statues. On the other end of that, I have put a small Roman temple out here in the plains. And there are, of course, just a couple of houses around this. Of course, you will recognize my small Roman house tutorial over there. However, you will also notice that as variations on a theme, I have expanded that basic house design. Here we have a 2-story house with a side addition. And over here we have the basic house, but it has a little portico or a porch attached on the side over here as well. And I do plan to go back and make a part 2 to that video, where I will show you how to take the basic house and add some additions onto it. I think that would be fun to do. Of course, over here we have little sort of a Roman equivalent of sheds, but they're sort of grandiose as far as sheds go, and they're just sort of little 3-pillar pavilions. They've got a little porch and a little cella back here with a little arch over it to store things in, farm equipment and whatnot. There is also a barn design that I have made, and we have one of those sitting over here. Now, this barn design is laid out basically like a Roman basilica, actually, sort of a more basic basilica. But if we will go in, we will see that we have the long nave here with the aisles on either side, but we have big arches on either end because this is designed to be a barn. Now, I know you're probably thinking this is a little bit grand for a barn. Are you really going to use a basilica as a barn? And well, yes, that's what I'm going to do. Because it was just too good not to. I think citizens of qeynos out here take things a little bit too seriously with their barns. Of course, it has a wooden roof, by the way, on the side aisles and the center. Here we can see the wooden coffers and everything up here as well. Of course, we have some arches and Corinthian pillars on the inside here as well for our barn. Of course, for the barns and houses, they are complete, but currently undecorated. That's something that will be done in the future. Over here, we have a basic Roman well. So if we land here and take a look at this, of course, we have a little well of water for you to drink out of and refresh yourself on the way. And as we look around here, you will notice that we have a bunch of little farms off over here as well. Most farms will consist of a house. You see here a barn of varying sizes. There's only two sizes of barn. A number of little sheds down here, and they usually have a well, like one of those, somewhere in proximity to that. So as we go a little bit deeper into the plains of Karana over here, we will see that demonstrated. So if we see off in the distance, we can see a number of sheds and wells and houses and barns. We go a little bit down the road here, we can see we have a few wells along the roadway. We have here one of the larger house models over here. This is a very much expanded Roman house. Of course, it's got the side rooms over there. It's 2 stories and with a little portico porch on the side there as well. This is the most complex and advanced model of those. Of course, they do have some chimneys as well. Not a Roman feature, but something I have added for my own uses, because someday, whenever this gets updated, I want to put campfires down those so I can have little chimneys everywhere in the world. It's just too much fun not to do. If we go underneath our aqueduct here, we can see on the other side, we have some more houses and fields and barns and everything over here as well. Another bridge over there. Large watchtower over here, marking the northern extent of the plains of Karana. This river, of course, if you remember, this goes up to Hellas, the barbarian city up there in the cold northern regions. We do have a small river over here. Of course, this marks the barrier between the Qeynosian territory and the Sabertooth Knoll clans at Blackborough. Up there, you remember we visited those caverns a couple of episodes ago. Lying over here, we are entering sort of the Qeynos Hills territory. Another watchtower over here. And off in the forested areas, we have more houses and everything tucked back here as well. And somewhere around here, we have the Druid Rings of Karana. And over here, we have a special little area I'm going to be developing. It doesn't look like much yet. I've just only cleared the area and everything. But this is going to be my house. Because if you might have wondered, you have this big giant world, where do you live? Well, I live right here in this little house in this little hollow in the Qeynos Hills between Surefall Glade and the plains of Karana here. Of course, we have city of Qeynos over there. I don't really like to live inside the city. Too noisy and crowded out there. I like to have a bit of nature. So in this little secluded wooded area out here in the Qeynos Hills, this is going to be my house. But that's a longer term project. As I've said, let's follow the roadway here just a little bit. You'll notice we have a little Greek colonnaded nether portal that I did. It's not a nether portal here, it's just a little gateway. And this serves as the demarcation line between the Qeynos Hills and Surefall Glade. And there's going to be this area here. Of course, in EverQuest, this was the Ranger Guild and some area. But over here, I have elected to change the design a little bit and add a Greek Doric temple over here at the foot of the mountain, between the mountain and this little lake here. And this is going to be, I think, the Ranger Guild Hall back here as well. And I think also the Druid Guild Hall for that. Of course, we have several houses over here populating the small village of the Surefall Glade. Of course, we also have here a large ornamental tower that I have made. All I've really done is I've taken a guard tower and plonked this thing right on top of it, which is just a smaller version of the Roman monument thing that I made quite a while ago. And over here, of course, we have a few more houses along the road. And another little Greek gateway over here, marking the end of the Surefall Glade over on this side. And of course, the road over here, that goes up to the northern area, which is the unkempt woods and everything up there as well. So let's go a little bit closer to the city. I want to spend all our time in Karana today. Once you've seen a little bit of Karana here, most of it is the same. It's just variations on a theme. Now, what's going to be done in sort of these fields, I'm going to be planting them with, of course, wheat and potatoes, and maybe a few other crops, some beetroots and whatnot. Let's go over here to this area. So I've changed up the area, or well, I've rather more built up the area around the small wizard portal. Over here, of course, we have our Roman bridge, a couple of houses, the wizard portal right here. And around that, we have, of course, more farmhouses, barns, and divided farm fields and everything out over here. And of course, here is the river delta, the Rubicon River Delta, out over here that goes into the ocean over here as well. I think that's about all there is to see here for now. But as I've said, I have gone around the plains, and wherever there was I've replaced all the bridge models with the newer Roman bridge prototypes that I made here, by the way. So I hope you like those. If you are interested in those, there is a Roman bridge tutorial, as I've said, already out. But if we go back to the main road here and land, we can see that what I have done is I have expanded the city of qeynos, because this is a new entrance that I have built. I've used a very large Roman triumphal arch model that I built, and I've just sort of clipped it into the walls here. And I put some Roman eagles on the top there, 3 of those. Of course, we have a big archway in the middle and 2 guardian royal lion statues on either side here. And I need to do a bit more lighting up and decoration in here as well. But if we head in here, we will see that the city has been expanded, because this here was the old entranceway, but I have expanded it out into the plains of Karana. And the reason I did that was so I could have this in the city. Of course, if you remember, we did have the Colosseum, but it was a smaller one. But I just really had to have the big one. So I have done that here, and I have moved a few obelisks over here for decoration. So let's take a look at that. Let's get a little altitude so you can see the basic design that I have chosen. Of course, we have the colonnade flanking either side of the roadway here. We're going to be building shops and everything behind those. And down here I have a tentative design for a roadway, just a standard Roman pattern that I have reproduced to give the streets some decoration and a little color. Over here as well, you of course are all familiar with the Colosseum, the big one. And we have that arranged down here so we can have games inside of qeynos. And of course it is very close to where the aqueduct enters the city. So as you can see, I did sacrifice some of the plains of Karana so we could have a bigger city. This is currently the largest city in Norrath, and it's probably going to be the largest one, I think. In terms of area that's inside the walls, it's quite a bit larger than Freeport. Over here on this side, there's two gateways. This is the gateway in from the Qeynos Hills, and it has a colonnade on either side of the roadway here, but it has a more basic one. It doesn't have a double layer, it's just got a front one. Of course, we have some triumphal arches on either side down here. We've got two of those facing each other for this main roadway here. I haven't yet drawn in the roads that's going to be around over here as yet. I'm still working on clearing things out. There's still a little bit of terrain over there. It's got to be cleared out. And if we go in through this way here, we can see that I've started to mark out the streets over here. And on the other side, I have replaced this triumphal arch, as you see over here, with a better model that I have also done a tutorial on, as you can see over here. I've plunked down some statues over here as well, and a design for the little courtyard. If we go around here, of course, you all remember the Roman cathedral from a few episodes ago. I have finished the roof, laying that out over here, so we do now have a finished roof on the cathedral itself. I think this building is mostly done. It's well, it's as done as I can currently make it. Of course, there's probably future details I'm going to add. I think I'm going to redo the floor in there for the moment, and since we are right here, I just can't help going in. Some of you may be new around here, and you may not have seen inside this building before, so we're just going to take a little quick look in here. Of course, this building is very complex. It was a year in the building. But over here, I have done some more arranging of things inside the main courtyard here. Of course, we have our fountain in the middle of the plaza. We have another large arch over here with different details on it. And that is because this one is the entrance for the qeynos Acropolis, which sort of doubles as the royal palace up here, or rather the imperial palace, for the Qeynosian emperor. He would live up here as well, and as you can see, we land up here, there are quite a number of Greek temples and everything all crammed in. We can see I've got a bit of the Parthenon over here. Well, a smaller one. It's only got 6 columns on it. Well, we've got another Doric temple over here, and we've got an ornate large Corinthian design over here. And over here, if you follow my Instagram or the community tab, you will recognize that this is the mausoleum build that I have talked about. So here that is here, topped with its many statues and a giant eagle on the top there as well. And of course from here it overshadows the Colosseum down there a little bit. Let me get some more altitude so you can see how everything is arranged. Up here, of course, we have another little small Ionic temple down over there. And at the heart of the Acropolis, by the way, this is where our aqueduct empties out into the cisterns for the city up here as well. So we have some deep water cisterns there. And of course, the cool mountain water is flowing out and being aerated at this portion here as well, ready for distribution out into the city itself. Down here, we will notice that you also have this very recent Greek clock tower build that I constructed. Of course, it's done out of the Doric order, and I put it right here, sort of on the edge of the Acropolis. And of course, the time here is always about 3 o'clock. And I think that is where I have the sun positioned in the sky as well. Now, if you remember over here in this area, we did have the large Colosseum, and we had a small theater over here. But I really, since I moved that over there and put in the large Colosseum. I really wanted to put in the large theater design that I made as well. So over here, where we did have the old Colosseum, we now have the new large theater. And if we sit here, we can see the plays down there by Euripides and Sophocles. Of course, we have a temple up there for decoration as well, Corinthian temple. And of course, we can see our clock tower over here as well. Of course, depending on where we sit inside of the theater, we can see different details of the city itself. And I think if we sit over here, we can even see a bit of the cathedral. We do also have over here the Roman library design that I made. You'll recognize that. And behind that, we have the bathhouse. I don't think this is the final location for the bathhouse, by the way. Back here, we have some little bits and pieces of Roman patterns for things that I want to put down here and there. There's sort of like street patterns. And over here, we have some of these Greek curly things. They have a name, but I forget what it's called. Over here, let us take a look at this quickly. So these are sort of prototypes for houses that I want to make. Because if you notice, we have a lot of blank space in the city, and it needs to be filled in with houses. So I'm thinking about using this design here. And what I've actually done is these blocks, this is actually birch wood, but I have changed the texture because I never use birch for just anything. But I really want to have some nice fine white Portland stone here for that, and some nice brown bricks behind that as well. So that's what both of these are in my texture pack. And I have done them up in sort of a Roman style, but they sort of, I mean, they also look very Georgian. Sort of like something you would find in London. And I think that is because the British copied the Romans too well and added things which I would add myself. So it's just going to kind of have to look like that, I think. But on the sides here, we have, these are actually iron trap doors, by the way, right here. And that is done to sort of make window frames. And you can use regular trap doors if you're making this out of wood to get this same effect in your builds if you want to, sort of frame your windows out. I'm still working on the roof designs, and of course behind this there's currently nothing. But you can see how I'm thinking about dividing it out with the floors and everything. And once these are done, I think I'll probably do some basic tutorials about how to create these facades here. They're not too difficult, but they do have all little variations between one another. And of course, we have some little beds out front as well, and some things we can have up here for some smaller attached flower beds as well. Just sort of like a little window boxes to decorate up the facades and make them look just a little bit different from each other. Let's see, what else is there to show you in qeynos that I have changed? Over here, I have added in a basilica, a different design for a basilica. I have teased this on my Instagram before, but this is roughly done in the same design as the Basilica of Maxentius, or the Basilica Nova, whatever you want to call it. I have altered the design just a little bit with these flying buttresses on the sides here. Now, because, to my knowledge, this is the first building that actually used external buttresses. They were smaller and sort of on the corners. But with my Gothic building experience, I have added these like this here. I think this is a reasonable extension that the Romans would have done. They did similar things on, I believe, also the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople as well. And I have neglected to add the doors, so we will just break in quickly and go in here so we can see the designs for the ribbed vaults in the middle here. Of course, we have an apse on both ends. and different pathways we can walk around under here as well. Of course, we have barrel vaults on the sides here and everything. A little niche with apps on that over there as well. And of course, good sturdy Roman windows and everything on the sides here. And this building is also going to be a future tutorial as well, but it's going to be attached to a forum design that I am still working on. So that's just a little teaser of that as well. But it's of course going to be included in the world download for a version 1.3, which, as I've said, is coming out a week from today. Will feature everything you have seen today here in qeynos. And of course over here we have our finished Colossus and everything. Over here for the harbor area as well. And this is unchanged, I believe, from the previous times you have seen it. But if this is your first time seeing my Roman city, I want to give you the full view of here. Of course, we have the Roman lighthouse. And astute observers will notice that I have been slowly adding sort of like wonders of the world into this particular city. So over here we have my version of the Colossus of Rhodes, this Spartan Colossus over there. Of course, we have the Great Lighthouse here, but done in a Roman Corinthian order. And over here, as you have already seen, we have the Great Mausoleum right here where the cursor is as well. And of course, on the other side of that, we have the Colosseum. Not a wonder, but it could have been. And of course, we have a large temple here as well, perhaps a wonder in its own right. We have sort of a Greek version of Big Ben here as well. Of course, my British viewers will immediately correct me that no, it's called the Elizabeth Tower, but I know that the bell is called Big Ben. However, no one outside of Magna Britannia knows that fact. So we just all kind of refer to the entire thing as Big Ben. And of course, we have over here my version of St. Paul's as well. Well, of course, it's sort of a hybrid between St. Paul's and the Hagia Sophia. And of course, we have a library over there. I don't know if you could call it a great library. But that is the current state of everything that I have been doing in my Roman city of qeynos. And about the name, by the way, I think the High Elves in their language will have a different name for this city. And of course, in their language, they would call this place Palandar. And I have made that up out of whole cloth because in the Roman cities, I've been building several versions of Roman cities for a few years now. And this is going to be the ultimate version of that. But I have always called them Palandar. And I want to do that in this world, so it's still going to be qeynos, but that is in the human tongue. But Norrath has many languages, and in the High Elven tongue, it is going to be called Palandar. And I think that just to avoid some confusion here, let's there we go. So the city in the human tongue is named qeynos, but as I said in the High Elven language, it is going to be called Palandar. So you can see it spelled out like that there. But I'm afraid that's going to be all the time we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed all of the work I have been doing in Karana. I've been working on that for quite a while. All of that out there took a week to do, even with the tools that I have in MC Edit just to arrange everything. And also, I hope you have enjoyed seeing the now larger and expanded version of qeynos. As you can tell by now, I go back and I add layers of detail to everything. So I'll make a pass on an area and add buildings and layers of detail and everything. And then later on, I will come back to that area and add more things over time to make even more details. And that's just sort of my basic work process for how I build the world. Because when I get bored of an area, I will just let it sit for a while and go build something else. And I will eventually come back to it. That's why we have so many ongoing projects in Norrath, and none of them are quite finished. Because I just sort of move around, and whatever interests me that day is what I end up building. And I'm saying all that as a tip for you for whenever you are building something and you sort of lose your drive and motivation to continue building it I mean, that happens to me too, by the way. And how I get around the problem is I just start a new project. And once you have like, half a dozen projects of those going on, whenever you sit down and want to build something, you can just think of all the active projects that you have going on and pick one of them. And odds are pretty good that one of those will highly interest you for a few days and you will get a lot done on that. And then you can just sort of rotate around doing a bit of a project here and a little bit over there. And over time, that will all add up to, just basically everything you see around me here. Because if you remember, we started with absolutely nothing around here a few months ago. But look at everything that we have around here now. It's starting to really take shape and is looking pretty good, I think. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.